I started this podcast because I'm fascinated by how we get better at bridge, how we reach that next level. I'm talking with expert players about how they got where they are and what they do to continue honing their skills, to less experienced players about what they're doing to improve their game, and to experts in fields outside of bridge, like learning and expertise. If you're looking to level up your game, check out my classes on Learn Bridge Online. Mondays are about the expert thought process, and Thursdays are about declare a play. You can attend the classes live or you can watch the recorded replay. I'm looking forward to leveling up together. I'm here today with Judith Weiner. Welcome, Judith. Glad to have you on the podcast.
Thank you for the invitation.
Yeah. So Larry Cohen introduced us. Can you tell me how you know Larry?
Well, we took a bridge cruise with Larry, and from that period of time, we've taken 4 or 5 bridge cruises with Larry. He lives nearby. We've become friends, and he is not only a lovely human being, but his kind of bridge teaching, which is crisp, logical, very clear, is perfect for the way I like to learn. I think he's just great, and I've learned enormously.
So how did you learn bridge initially?
My parents taught me to play bridge because they loved the game. They were social bridge players. And when I had my first job, I started work like the first week, and my boss was frantic. He was frantic because their 4th was laid off. And he said, "Does anybody play bridge?" He said, "We like to play bridge at lunchtime." I said, "Well, I know the basics of bridge." Fine, I was a living, breathing person who could play bridge. And they were serious bridge players. And whoever was the dummy had the cards dealt, so as soon as the cards got swept up, we were ready to do the next hand. And they started, I say, "You didn't make 4 spades. Bad board, should have made 5, bad board. So I learned duplicate. I never learned social bridge. I learned duplicate. And then I didn't play really for decades because I got married and I had children and my husband didn't play. However, I always read the bridge columns in the paper. I always studied them. I'm a student by nature. And so when I actually did take up bridge, I was used to seeing long suits and dummy and end plays and safety plays and all the things that you read in the daily columns. You read 365 columns a year for years, even if you don't play and don't have any points, you get this repetitive understanding of the game. And I'm a student, I said, by nature. My personal secret to being a good bridge player is I take very detailed, copious notes. I started that in high school. And I was an honor student because I can disconnect my hand from my brain so I can fully listen and engage, but my hand just goes and I'm writing. And so if the teacher said something 3 times, I wrote it 3 times because I wasn't making any judgments. So when I went to study, there it was 3 times, I knew what to emphasize. So translate that to bridge. Larry always laughed at me. I write down every word that he says because I have learned, not just in bridge, but in life, you totally understand something. And when you hear it and you listen and you totally understand, and 3 days later, it's gone. You have no idea what it was that you understood and you have questions. Well, I have my notes and I study them. I go to all my bridge cruises, any lessons I take, anything, with my notebook. And so that's my personal secret to why I have improved at bridge, because I do study the notes.
How often do you go back and reread those notes?
Well, when I remarried and my husband started really enjoying bridge, when you're mentoring someone and you're working with someone, you're enhancing both of your memories and your skill sets. So we would sit down at night after dinner, and either deal out hands or I'd give him whatever the column of the day was. And I'd say, okay, how many chicks do you have? How many do you need? And how are you going to get them? And so we'd analyze. And then once we started learning from Larry, if there were things that were relevant to what we learned, then I would just bring out my notes.
How do you have them organized? Like, can you go back and find something you need quickly?
Well, not only do I have my notes, but at the end of the cruise, I make a summary of my notes and the points that Larry made. And they're always with me. I have a doctor's appointment and I always have bridge notes with me. You know, I'm a little nutsy that way. However, it's worked for me.
How have you seen your game improve since you've been working with Larry?
That's an easy one. The very first time we went on the first cruise with Larry, my husband had 70 points, and I had about 180, something under 200 points. And of course, we played in Gold Rush the first day. And I said, I'm never playing Gold Rush again. I mean, we won easily because they were giving us gifts. They were breaking new suits. They were doing everything that I learned not to do. So even though I belonged in Gold Rush, I never, ever played Gold Rush again. Not in any regional, not on any cruise, not on anything. Because I felt it was much more important to learn from playing with better players than to get points on gifts from less proficient opponents. So that was my first and last time we ever played Gold Rush. And we still are well in the Gold Rush category. But we did very, very well. That first cruise, Larry always gives these little trophies. So, you know, we won like the C trophy, but we only played in the open. The second Larry cruise we went on, I mean, I couldn't believe it. My husband couldn't believe it. And Larry couldn't believe it because we didn't have very many points. But we won 56 gold points in that cruise. Everything that we learned from Larry, plus I think that we are both students, I think makes all the difference in the world. And I love to play up. I never get intimidated if someone's better. I get excited because it's an opportunity. I'm good enough to know if somebody's done something clever that I might not have thought of. So that's another way of learning. And that's why I always say to my friends, play up.
I always tell my students that too, and there's a huge reluctance. Where do you think that reluctance comes from?
Worrying about failing, but that's just not something I think about. You know, it's the learning aspect that's the challenge. I mean, who cares if you win or lose?
Right. How do you think we can instill that learning mentality in newer players?
I think it's hard. I play once in a while in a social game with delightful girls, but they just want to have fun. They really don't have an interest in going to that next level. And so I just enjoy their company, and it's not important to me for that. But if people are going to take bridge seriously, you have to embrace the challenge.
Are you a competitive person by nature?
I'm a competitive person for myself because I like to do my own personal best. But I'm not competitive in the sense that, you know, that if you won and I didn't, that I wouldn't be happy for you. So yes, I'm a competitive person, but only wanting to do my personal best.
So how do you track your own personal development and growth as a bridge player?
I see it. I see it. We just played in the regionals. We came in first in the knockouts. The time before we played in Coral Springs, we played a 1 day. I love Swiss. I much prefer Swiss because I like to be aggressive, and it's an excuse to be aggressive, and it's amazing how often it works. So I do like that. We came in first. Success breeds success because my husband keeps saying, I don't believe it. I don't believe it, because he feels like he's not a good player. And I said, stop saying it's me. Bridge is a team game. You've got to be able to work together, understand each other's, you know, leads and signals and whatever. We don't play that often, and we're very successful when we play. That's the best way to track.
Do you mostly play with your husband in tournaments?
Pretty much only with my husband in tournaments. The one gal that I adore, that I play with on Wednesdays, will play Swish. She'll get another partner, but I will, yes, play with my husband. Fortunate enough, to have my life partner as my bridge partner.
Some people struggle with that dynamic playing with a spouse. How does it work for the two of you?
Works beautifully. People do not believe we're married. First of all, my philosophy of bridge is that it's a game. It's not life. Nobody wants to make mistakes. We all make them, but why make somebody feel bad if they've made a mistake? Look at it as a way maybe to discuss it afterward and learn. I always make notes on the card to, encircle, we're going to discuss this board or that board. And we do go over the boards and look at it as learning. It's an exciting challenge, but it's a game. I just can't imagine getting angry. I've seen people get furious over someone because they didn't bid a slam or they misplayed a card or something. I don't get it. I feel bad for them.
So, what kind of review do the two of you do after a tournament going over the hand?
Well, we get the boards. That's the only problem with Swiss is we don't get the printouts. So I try to write down as much as I can. And obviously, I'm a writer. We go over anything that I've circled and say what might have been a better choice or there was a misunderstanding. We're still not super sophisticated bridge players, although I'm starting to feel really comfortable. Where we live, there's lots of really good players and a lot of teachers. We live in Boca Raton, and that's a place where we've got a lot of Hall of Famers. We've got a lot of really good bridge players that play. And so I never get intimidated if I'm playing opposite one of my teachers. I get excited. I was playing against one of them, and I know he's an aggressive bidder, and I doubled him. And he said, "You doubled me?" I said, "Yeah." I said, "I did." And he laughed when I said him. He said, "Nobody has the guts to double me." I said, "Well, that's how I learn."
Do you have mentors that you reach out to when you have a question?
Larry.
Larry is.
If I have something that I don't understand or questions, I will email him the question, or we do see Larry and Eugenia socially, and he loves to talk about bridge. I want to be polite, not even mention bridge, because he's world traveled and there's so many other things to talk about. His favorite thing is to talk about bridge. He's just a super person, and his wife is as well.
When you're going to a tournament, do you do anything to prepare to get yourself there, playing your best?
Yes. My husband is very charming and very loquacious and loves to talk to people. And that is the only time that we ever have a conflict. I said, "You've got to put your bridge hat on and just start focusing and thinking about bridge." Because he always says he messes up the first round because he's not focused. And I said, "Well, then don't talk to people. This sounds really awful, but you're not there to make friends. You are there to play bridge. And if you like someone, exchange information and make a plan to see them when the bridge is over, or if it's a 2-session at lunch, but focus." I'm a good focuser. I get into a bridge zone, and I get upset with him if he starts to talk. I said he's very charming, and he's a talker. And I love to talk to people, but not at the bridge table.
You said that you usually play once a week at the club with your friend. What else do you do on a weekly basis to work on your bridge game?
Oh, I do on a daily basis. I still get newspapers delivered, which I'm the only one that does, and it's not for the news. I could read that online. I like to cut out the bridge and do it, and then if it's something that's interesting, which I'd say 98% of the time it is, then I give it to my husband, and then we'll discuss it. Bridge is a daily thing for me.
Do you play online at all?
We did during COVID, and we really should when we have time, but we don't. We have very busy, active lives, and bridge is an important part of it, but we're just active in a lot of community things, and our temple, and Florida Atlantic University, and we do a lot of, we like to engage our brain. We like to take courses, but bridge is my favorite.
Do you like reading bridge books in addition to the bridge column?
Yes. I have every single book that Larry has written, and we do go over them, and whenever we travel anywhere, we always take bridge books with us. It's embarrassing because I have a whole list of books that I really want to read, books, because I enjoy reading. But somehow it's easier to pick up a bridge book. Yeah, we take them everywhere. I have a doctor's appointment. I've got two bridge books in my little bag.
What are some of your favorite of Larry's books?
Well, the defense is probably not only my favorite book, but my favorite part of bridge. I have seen that most of my friends who take bridge seriously, they're either learning a million conventions or they're working on declarer play. And as far as conventions are concerned, and this is my get most of my those kinds of philosophies from Larry Cohen, keep it simple, stupid. Take the 12 to 15 really important bridge conventions, learn them well, and don't learn 40 conventions and then when they come up, either you don't remember it or your partner doesn't remember it. So we don't do a lot of conventions, and defense is 50% of the game. So I think we put much more emphasis on defense than we do on declare play.
Do you feel like that's one of the stronger parts of your game, defense?
I do. A, because we work on it, and B, first of all, it's much more fun, defense. I know that people, when you get, oh my God, I have another bad hand. And again, I credit Larry with this. When I'm sitting in defense and the lead is put down and the declarer is making a game plan, which most declarers do, I'm saying, gee, I see the lead, I see the dummy, I see my hand. I try to construct now from the bidding what the declarer has so that I can figure out what my partner might have and what I need from him to have to set the contract. Hopefully he's doing the same thing. So we use that declarer analyzing time as defensive analyzing time. And I think that's why our game is so good, frankly. Particularly at Swiss team. We'll find a way to set a contract where our teammates are making it and our opponents are not.
Are there any parts of your game that you feel like are a weakness?
Yeah, a lot. Opening leads. I have a lot to study on opening leads because I think that's really important. Yeah, and I'm insecure sometimes with the best choice of a lead. I work on that.
So you love Larry's books. Are there any other authors or books that you enjoy?
I bought a couple of Jerry Helms books because I had one of the mini lessons from him and I liked it. So whatever he was selling, I was buying. I have Barbara Seagram's, all her little like cheat sheets and stuff when I've heard her. I had an interesting thing talking about those too. We were in Toronto anyway and discovered that there was the Nationals. So I said, well, we've never been to a national. They say it's like a regional on steroids. Let's play. So we went one afternoon because we were on vacation, so we weren't going to do the whole day. And we sit down, we start talking to this gentleman, and he said he's a bridge teacher, and that's nice, okay. And then we played, and then the next one that sat down was Jerry Helms. And I said, why are you playing in this afternoon, side game? He said, well, we had a teacher's seminar or something this morning from 8 to 12, so we weren't to play bridge. This was the only opportunity to play bridge. And so he left, and then Barbara Seagram sat down, and I said, oh my God, what an opportunity. We actually didn't do badly either. I was so excited that we were playing against all these people that were like icons. And it was a great, great experience. I loved every second of it.
So a lot of people would have that experience and they would be terrified and like, oh my gosh, I'm playing against Jerry Helms and Barbara Seagram. How do we change that attitude?
No, I think that's a personality thing. It really would be hard to do. Because I believe that bridge is a game and a challenge. It's not life. I'm a cancer survivor. I'm going to worry about whether I do well at a bridge table. Not happening. So I think you can't change people's basic personalities except try to imbue it in there, saying, this is a game. Enjoy it. Learn from the best that you can learn from.
If someone came to you and they had just learned bridge, they had maybe 5 or 10 master points or something, and they said, Judith, what should I do? What are your tips for me I want to become good at this game, what would you tell them?
Well, first of all, you have to study. You really have to learn. And second of all, ask questions. I don't even mind playing with people who are not good players. If they ask me questions, I'm very happy to help people. This game needs more and more people, especially younger people. But I will never offer anything unless I'm asked, because who the heck am I? So I never say anything unless I'm asked. But I think it's fun to learn, and I think it's, you learn by mentoring too.
Yeah. Do you set goals for yourself as a bridge player?
Just to do the best that I can do in any given game. Yeah, and it's exciting because my husband and I have reached goals beyond anything we thought we'd be able to reach. And he now is almost, I'm hoping, we're doing the Larry's holiday cruise. And I'm hoping he will get the 10 black points that he needs. Now, I'd like him to get it with Larry's cruise. I don't know if he'll last that long, because we're going to Philadelphia to play in the Nationals too. And we play in the local regionals.
Have you noticed certain traits that make someone a better bridge player?
I don't know, taking it seriously, I guess. Taking it and wanting, really caring.
Is that what you think holds people back? There's so many people who play and play and play and never really get any better.
I don't think they try to get better. I mean, I've played with people that say, I don't want to learn anything. I'm having fun. It's social. I enjoy it. I'm with my friends. We talk. And they don't really, it's their choice. It's their choice. There's two different kinds of games. There's social games, which certainly can be fun. And then there's there's serious games, which are also fun, but they have that level of challenge that I find very exciting.
I always want to get better. Every time I play bridge, I think there's an opportunity to learn. That seems like that's how you approach the game as well.
Yes, it is. It is.
Yeah.
It's not like golf. You can go out and one day you're a good golfer, and the next day, like, you never saw the ball before. That doesn't happen. A bad day at bridge is not the same as a bad day at golf. I don't know if you play golf. Uh, it's
Very
like,
badly.
yeah, yeah. Well, I don't play anymore.
So a lot of my students, the thing they struggle with the most is counting out the points, counting out the distribution. Is that something that you have worked on in your game?
I've worked on it a lot. I work on it a lot, and I still find it extremely challenging when you want to figure out what they have, so you know who's got the queen, because this one has to, because they're short here and long there and whatever. Yes, I try to do it. I'm not always successful by any means, but it really is something that I try to do. I don't have any problems with the bidding counting, but when I'm declarer and I'm trying to do a count, or even with defending, I might pick a suit that's important, and sometimes even two, but to get the whole picture, it's hard work, and I'm working on it, but I definitely don't.
Are there tips you've picked up or written down in your extensive notes that you might pass on to some of the other people listening?
Actually, yes. What I try to tell my friends who don't play serious bridge is play passively 80% of the time when you are defending. Whatever tricks declarer is going to lose, they're going to lose. If you break a new suit, you probably will give them the extra trick that they need. Give them what they've got. Let them rough something they're going to rough. You see an ace, king, and dummy, play it. Give them what they've got and avoid breaking new suits at any cost. That, I think, is the biggest mistake that people make. And the other thing is, when you do see a long suit and dummy, be as aggressive as hell, because it's very obvious they're going to throw off their losers on that long suit. Figure out from the bidding and whatever what their losers are or could be. Play for your partner to have what you need them to have, and play as aggressively as you can. And that's about 20% of the game. And yes, I think that's really, really important. I would tell that to someone who is a bit, learning bridge. Be passive as a defender most of the time, and aggressive when it's really obvious.
Yeah, that's really good advice. I certainly tell a lot of my students the same.
That's why I don't play Gold Rush. I don't want to win points with somebody gifting me things, breaking suits, giving me tricks that I don't deserve. That's not fun.
Still really want to understand the difference in your mindset between so many other players with, 300, 400 points who are scared to play in the open game. They want to get those tricks, those free gift tricks in the gold rush. Do you understand it?
Nope,
Hmm.
nope. But then, I like to do the best that I can. And I care more about the learning aspect than the winning aspect. And found out that I can win better against good players. You just have to say, what are you afraid of? What changes in your life if you play and fail? If you don't try to get better and you worry that you're playing against better players, what changes in your life? You'll go home to this, to the same good or bad life that you left with.
What kind of student were you when you were in school? Were you a really hard worker?
Yeah, I was a really hard worker. I was an honor student. I was in these gifted classes that we were all fighting for scholarships, and that's when I was a copious, detailed note taker, and I think that made the difference as a student and made it different as a bridge student.
So in high school, let's say you worked really hard on a paper and you got a B plus. What was your reaction? Did you ever get a B plus? But what would your reaction to that have been?
What did I do wrong?
Would you go seek out the teacher and get notes?
Oh, yeah. I never was intimidated to ask questions. But because I'm a question asker, it was more important than ever that I took notes because I never thought it was fair to go back and ask the teacher something that he'd already taught. And the fact that I wrote down everything, I could go back over my notes when I had a question. So when I did ask questions, they were expanding on my notes or something that hadn't been taught that I thought I needed to know. And I think that was important to me being a good student.
I just read this book called Mindset. Have you heard of that? The growth mindset versus the fixed mindset. And it seems to me like you embody the growth mindset, which is intelligence, ability, whatever is not fixed. It's just you keep getting better at it. And the more you work at something, the better you're going to get. And that sounds like that's kind of your philosophy.
It is my philosophy, and I agree with you. I was not the smartest, but I was the hardest worker, and that's mindset.
And I'm sure that's why Larry thought that we should talk. Because he said of all the students he's ever had, you work the hardest. And you're really doing the most to level up your game.
Well, I thank him for saying that, and that's likely true. I do work.
Really great. And it's an inspiration to everyone that, it's not just the Larry Cohens and the Jeff Maxtroths who really work. It's people like you who don't want to play in the gold rush and just want to keep getting better and getting better and getting better. And the only way to do it is to work.
And bridge is the greatest challenge. As I said, as I have aged, I gave up tennis for my knees. I gave up golf for my back. And I can play bridge till I'm 100 years old, God willing. It's really that kind of intellectual challenge, I think, is more important than ever as you age. So I look at it as my warding off the bad stuff.
Do you have children or grandchildren?
Mm-hmm.
Have you taught any of them?
No, I have 8 grandchildren, and they say they want to learn it, but nobody's local. And how can I teach them? And that is frustrating. And I know from the lovely gal who runs our local bridge club, she would love to get young people in. She has offered to send instructors to the local university where maybe they would do bridge clubs. I have tried to intercede. I said we're active in one of the local universities to try to convince them that it teaches math, it teaches logic, it's thought-provoking. I mean, it's so many different disciplines to learn bridge, and she's offered free games, free pizza, get the young people out because it's become an older person game. And my My peeve with that is if you're going to have games from 12:30 to 4, you're not going to get the young people. They're either in school or the next generation, they're still out working. So you're going to get seniors. You need to have more night games. We need more young people in this game. Absolutely.
How old were you when you came back to bridge?
I feel like I never left it, even though I didn't play for points. So it's hard
Okay.
to come back to it. I was probably when I started playing bridge, it was in my 60s, but I was already a student of bridge for many, many years.
So what motivated you to start playing again?
Well, when I was became an empty nester and I didn't have the responsibility of children, and then when I remarried and my husband was interested and it was something we could share together, it's a great thing to share together if you have the right attitude about it. Then we
Did he
started playing.
play already? Did he know bridge when you
Yeah,
met?
he played some social bridge, but I wanted to go beyond, and I love social bridge. I love playing with our friends, don't get me wrong. But I wanted to go to the next level as a different kind of activity. I almost think of it, there's bridge with a small b and bridge with a capital B, and they both have their very important place in my life, but they're different.
So did you undertake a program to teach your husband?
Yeah.
Yeah, what did that look like? The Judith Academy.
The Judith Academy was after the dishes are done, we either would look at the bridge hands or that now we started doing by ourselves. I give him the hands and then we discuss it afterward. We would deal out hands and we would each take two hands and we would discuss the bidding. And if it would be more interesting to change the cards, even with just the two of us, to change it so everybody didn't have 10 points, you know. And the fascinating thing is, Adam, that you just deal out random hands at the kitchen table, and 90% of the time, they're all interesting.
Fascinating. Yeah.
And you can learn something from just every random hand. And so we would just do a little bridge that became our thing that we would just do whenever we could, which was a lot. And it was good for him and just as good for me because for a long time I was doing the mentoring, which still made me learn.
And what motivated you to go on your first cruise with Larry?
I was ready. I was
How did
ready.
you hear about the cruise?
So I would get these emails or I'd get things from Alice Travel, and it just
Mhm.
sounded like a good thing to do. And it was a transatlantic. And because I still don't want to pay for bridge and pay for exciting ports, I want to do one or the other because I have the same philosophy as a traveler. I'm the first one off and the last one back and want to see and do and learn everything I possibly can. So I don't want to be missing a bridge game that I'm paying for the instruction. So transatlantic is wonderful. Or I live in Florida, so doing the Caribbean cruises and islands, I don't care if I don't get off. And I don't get off. And I never miss a lesson. And I never miss a game when I'm on a bridge cruise. And I can't do that when I'm going to some wonderful place where I have that same philosophy in my travels. I want
So
to see.
you're looking for a cruise somewhere that's not that interesting so that you don't feel like you need to get off the boat.
Exactly. And that's personal to me because there's other bridge instructors that sound interesting to increase my skill set and learn from, but they go to wonderful ports and that's like I'm paying double or I'm not getting everything that I pay for and I want the ports and I want the bridge. So yes.
I've never done a bridge cruise. Some people have asked me to do them, so I'm thinking about it.
It's absolutely wonderful. I would think as an instructor, you make friends and it's fun to mentor people. I know Larry, he has a wonderful time. He enjoys what he does. It reflects in his teaching. It's always relaxing and it's always challenging. And as I said, clear and crisp. He's very logical. I really do believe he enjoys it as much as his students do. So why not do it?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, Judith, thank you for talking with me. I really appreciate it. And I really appreciate all that you're doing. It sounds like you have the right attitude. And That's where it starts, is that attitude, isn't it?
Absolutely. And tell your students what to think about. Answer this question. What are you afraid of? So you have a bad day at the bridge table. But if you learn something, it's not a bad day.
I think that's a great place for us to end. Thank you so much.
Absolutely. Oh, my pleasure. Thank you. And I enjoyed speaking with you.